Okay, the two pieces that I want to talk about today are Asher Duran's Kindred Spirits and Stephen Sondheim's musical For a Sunday in the Park with George. The painting of Kindred Spirits was written by Asher Durand. It was a commissioned piece for after Thomas Cole had died. It depicts two men standing in what would be the idealized version of the Catskill Mountains. It combines multiple landscapes into multiple real locations into one landscape. It sets the men in the center of the frame, as if, to make commentary on the fact that humanity exists within nature rather than above or below it, in the way that typically nature is depicted. The other piece that I wanted to chat about was the musical version of A Sunday in the Park with George. This is different than A Sunday Afternoon painted by George Seurat. It is an actual painting, and then Stephen Sondheim went and made a musical based on that actual painting. So in 1984, this musical was created. It is about George Seurat as an artist who becomes so enthralled with making this piece. It was the first piece in pointillism, which means that there are a ton of little dots that are different colors, but when you stand back, the optics, your eyes blend into one color. So the hat is red, blue, green. You stand back, the hat is now purple. He became so obsessed with making art, with creating art, that he forgets to live in it. There's several songs about that in the musical. And then the second half of the musical is George Seurat's grandson that never got to know the original George Seurat. They're both named George, just to confuse you. It is him singing about, this beautiful landscape that he got to grow up and see, and now all of it is gone, and the buildings have come and they've torn down all the trees and all this stuff. It is interesting because on one hand, George Seurat embodies the transcendentalist ideas that the individual artist must follow their own vision above everything else, even if society doesn't understand it. The musical perfectly captures what it is like to have a blank page and put something down, the rush of it, the burden of it, what it costs to get it down, to get other people to see your vision as it is in your head. The rigging does a great job with how they pull in trees and pull them out and change, visually that while he stresses over it. You get to see him sacrifice his relationships, his eating, his other stuff for this piece of art that he needs to create. But on the other hand, it also critiques transcendentalism's core ideas, because transcendentalism says that you should be present in nature and find the divine there, and he's so obsessed with painting nature that he never gets to experience it. He tries to connect with, his girlfriend Dot and in the show, and he's never able to stop working. He's never able to stop trying to create something. So in short, it uses transcendentalist ideas about the individual and nature, but it turns them against themselves, asking what happens when your obsession with capturing nature replaces your ability to actually connect with it. It's an interesting concept that they've done. It'd be interesting to see how someone would do the same thing with Kindred Spirits, considering it was a piece that was made as a memorialism. So it was made to preserve the identity and peacefulness of one of its characters. So that's why I think that, A Sunday in the Park with George is a great conversational piece to talk about the compare and contrast. I think that I love both pieces wholeheartedly. I think that the first piece, Kindred Spirits, is just breathtakingly beautiful. I think that A Sunday in the Park with George is a beautiful piece of work from the way that the music mixes with the the tempos and the beats and what they typically mean and all the other things. I could go into a whole dissertation about it, but I won't because I'm already over time. But I love both pieces through and through and through. I think that they're interesting. I think that it is interesting how they mirror the same ideas, and yet the musical turns it on its head and goes a step further to say, like, yes, this art is beautiful, but what actually is happening behind the stage? I just think it's an interesting concept.